being here. We've had a chance to watch film from Saturday. Obviously, pleased with the end result. Did some really good things on both sides of the ball at times, but very evident on the tape that a number of areas in which we need to improve and improve in a hurry. Quote the maybe famous country song, but we got a long way to go in a short time to get there. So really the message is exactly what we told the team in the locker room. We have got to be mature enough, we have got to be enough of competitors to watch that film with a very critical eye and know that everything that shows up on tape is now more ammunition for your opponent to study and find ways to exploit your weaknesses. And so if we're truly competitors, right, want to be the best we can be, we watch that film with a very critical eye, and we need to identify the mistakes we made, the flaws in our schemes, right? That's our responsibility as coaches, but the flaws in our schemes, flaws in our fundamentals that showed up, our techniques, and we need to get them corrected in a hurry because the competition level takes a very big jump and starts this weekend. Arizona is an incredibly talented team. You can tell they're year 3 in their system. Coach Fish and his staff have done a tremendous job. They're physical and aggressive on defense, very physical up front. And offensively, they got about every formation in play in concept, run schemes, pass concepts. When everyone, as you can see, his NFL background, they do a tremendous job. They stretch you horizontally, vertically, with everything. And so I think it's going to be more of the same kind of what we just faced. Multiple personnel groupings, multiple formations, shifts, motions, very spread sets, condensed sets. There's a reason. There's a reason they did everything they could to keep him around. He's done a great job there. And, you see that on their roster. They did a really good job in the transfer portal. Some impact players who played a whole bunch of snaps for them last week. But they came to their program this offseason. Really good players. So we have our hands very full.
Questions? Start off with Steve over here.
Coach, you mentioned they clearly look to be a better team than they were last year. Is there really any carryover in what they do? It seems like they're really utilizing the spring game a lot this year, but has there been any continuity, I guess, in concepts from this year to last for offense?
Yeah, you see a lot of carryover. Returning quarterback. I think, someone can double check me on this, but I remember seeing at one time, I believe they led the country last year in explosive plays of 20 yards or more. And if they did not finish at that up until the last couple weeks of the season, they were leading the country in number of explosive generated. They have a phenomenal scheme offensively. Returning quarterback, very mobile and agile. The sacks he gets out of when you feel like you have him balled up and pressure, he flushes and finds a way out of there. He has one of the quickest releases I've seen in football right now. So very talented. Coach Leach and his staff have recruited him, and I think they have him committed. They might have even signed him right at Washington State. And so very talented, very deep stable of running backs, almost similar to us. They got all-purpose backs. Number 6, Wiley, is a tremendous player. He's out in the Territorial Cup, I believe it's called, right, versus Arizona State last game of the year. They got him out at number 1 wide receiver, running fade balls to him. He's making those catches. Then he's splitting you on an inside power play. The next play, he is an all-purpose, do everything kind of tailback, and they are very physical runners. They're big and talented, athletic up front. I can't say enough good things about their offense and the ways they challenge defenses.
You guys were able to rotate a ton of young guys throughout that game last Saturday. Just how valuable has it been these last couple of days to have game film on some of those players, especially the freshmen this year?
Oh, it's great. You can talk till you're blue in the face, telling them the things that you know are going to show up, that because you've seen it before in other players. That you may not have seen this in practice yet. We've tried to show it to you in a scout look, but it's just we can't replicate the speed and how fast things happen. But I'm telling you, this is coming your way. And until they actually see it and experience that in person, they They think they know better than you at times, but we have some really good film. We have things to highlight. I always had some freshmen who made quite a few tackles on running down on kickoffs on special teams, some tackles on defense. Some guys did some really good things on offense as well. We got Malik Ellis in there doing some really good things blocking at the tight end position, and so there are things we can highlight and praise them for and show. All right, see when you do what your coach should do, when you play with the proper fundamentals and techniques, that is what leads to success. And then there's the exact opposite, right? When you don't have your eyes in the right place, or you don't line up exactly correct, you fail to execute the things that we've tried to coach you to do, or you have a breakdown in fundamentals or techniques, those get exposed. Because when the quality of athlete across from you is the same level, or sometimes even better than you, because he's older, right? Your margin for error is significantly smaller than what you have been used to in high school. So, feeling the speed of the game is what they need to experience.
Brian?
You go back to the first quarter, 3 points. It looked like it's some missed opportunities there in the first quarter. When you look back at the film, is that what you saw? Was it lack of execution, or one guy contributed to that slow start in the first quarter?
We got finished drives, obviously, right, which is execution. Had a couple opportunities for, some play action shot plays, and the thing about offensive football is, and I hate saying this as a defensive guy, because I've always heard offensive coaches say, offense is harder to cleanly execute because all 11 guys have to do exactly their job, right, for a play to be successful. On defense, one guy can make, you can bust a coverage and one guy in the pass rush can win and cover that up. And to an extent, that's true. Right? So every little detail in terms of your execution on offense is critical to the success of a play. Quarterback being in the exact right spot in the pocket at the exact right depth, how you set those guys. Sustaining and staying on your blocks in the run game, driving on the correct angle. Right? The difference between 4 and 5 yard gains and explosives in the run game sometimes are how you sustain on a block and driving at the right angle. Right? So then the guy's not able to fall off late, kind of muddy up, make the running back stop his feet before he can accelerate through the hole. So, yeah, we got to finish better. We got to execute better.
We saw you guys have a couple of different offensive line combinations, early in that game. What are you kind of looking for from your O-line when you go back and watch the film? And do you know when you want to have, just 5 guys just set in that position?
Well, yeah, you want 5 set, but it's not fair in the spirit of competition, it's not fair unless you clearly can show with evidence these 5 are clearly better than the next couple. And so we're trying to figure out who our best 5 are. Our backup tackles came in, the guys who were the backups in the game, they came in and played really, really well and did some things maybe as good or better at times than the guys ahead of them. So there's going to be open competition there this week, and it's the same thing we do at defensive line and on defense, right? You're constantly, A, you can keep guys fresh, which is good, but B, right, you can maintain a competition throughout the season because you're constantly trying to find your best 11 at all times.
Hey, Zach, you mentioned, earlier that you're pleased with the result, but there's a lot of stuff you need to work on. Based on watching the film, was there anything specifically that you think you guys need to work on more than kind of anything else based on the game, or what are you kind of hoping to improve the most on from that film session?
Well, I think it's specific to each phase of the game, right? There are things in the kicking game and special teams. Freshman kicker did a fabulous job, made his 2 kicks and distances longer than we probably went into the game ideally, wanting him to have to kick his first couple. But there are some things that obviously showed up in field goal protection that we got to clean up a little bit. We would like all touchbacks, to cover kicks. We had to cover, I think, every one. We got some really good film of getting down the field, compressing space, right, being able to button press off of a block. Again, that gets harder and harder too. The bigger and stronger and faster and more physical the opponent is across, the more they can stay attached to you, and a talented returner can hit a seam. I mean, we've all seen that from Tulu in his career, right? Not every explosive kickoff return he's had has been because it's been a perfectly blocked up, clean play. Yeah, they're really talented guys. So, we like to kick touchbacks. Didn't have to punt a whole lot, but we were clean in execution. There's things that showed up on punt return that we can do a better job to get returns started. More safe field position by fielding balls and eliminate some rollout on those kind of rugby low kicks. Offense, kind of talked about, got to finish better, got to execution is a premium on the offensive side because every guy needs to do their 1/11th in order for a play to be successful. That even goes down even to how you line up, right? If you're a receiver, it's supposed to be on a certain split because that creates a certain amount of spacing for the route concepts or puts you in a position to successfully, get your blocking assignment done in the run game, and then you miss a line with a split, well, now you put yourself at a disadvantage. Defensively, defensively, we got to run harder with the ball and we got to tackle better. I'll be honest, we're going to talk about it today. Yesterday was an off day, so when we get a team meeting, well, defense, we got to play harder. We got to run the ball harder. We got to play harder. Offenses have gotten really good. They make you defend every inch of the field, and you got quarterback run game. You got one run going this way for the quarterback, one run going this way for the running back. If you do not have fanatical pursuit and fly around and tackle well, you're going to have a hard time playing successful defense in today's world of college football. So we can talk all we want about schemes and blah, blah. We got to do a better job of getting them to play harder too.
Justin.
Zach mentioned the intricacies of their offense. How beneficial is it that you've sort of seen it in the mindset of a defensive coordinator last year, and then you have many assistants who have also coached against the rest?
I don't know. We watched film nonstop off sale yesterday and then again this morning up until coming over here, and you can spend hours arguing the benefits and potential drawbacks of, we'll play this coverage versus this formation or these splits. It looks good on this one. You can flip to the next play and you've just set yourself up for an explosive play given up. And so it's kind of the piggybacks on what I was just talking about. Right? You're never going to answer it all. On the defensive side of the ball, you're never going to answer it all on the chalkboard. Right? It is more important how you play than actually what you're executing. It can be man coverage, it can be vanilla zone, whatever. If you got 11 guys playing fast and physical, you give yourself a chance. If you don't have that, they're going to go up and down the field on you.
Coach mentioned, back when getting lined up, some of the assistants we talked to said they were concerned at camp that maybe the new time rules, things like that, a little worried about getting plays clean, but you didn't have a single procedure penalty, no false starts. Were you satisfied how both lines of scrimmage performed in that situation?
I am. I'm disappointed I failed to mention that after the game because that was probably my number one concern going into the first game of the year. You want to play pretty clean football. And obviously, early games, week 0 games, week 1 games, one thing you see an abundance of is yellow flags on the field, right? A lot of pre-snap administrative penalties. Really nice job by our offense. Didn't have any of those. Defensively, I don't think we had an offsides. We did do some stemming at times, which created some. Kicking game, we did have a couple penalties. We had a ball on the ground, which is unacceptable. You cannot put the ball on the ground. You got to protect the football. You want to talk about new clock rules? I don't think maybe the new clock rules are as drastic as the narrative that is getting put out there. I think we need a bigger body of evidence, a sample size, before we can really make some big conclusions about it. But it's safe to say games are a little bit shorter. There are fewer plays. And so if you do not protect the football, you put the ball around and lose possessions, you are setting yourselves up for failure. It's always been that way, but the fewer and fewer possessions there are, that's why the NFL with their rules, possessions are at a premium. Turnover with football, you probably lose.
Coach, Southeastern didn't have a lot of success running football, but off the left side, I think they had 4 or 5 double-digit runs. Now that you've had a chance to review the film, why were they able to find that level of success off that left side?
I don't think left is the right way of characterizing it, just because, well, there are times we play field and boundary defense, and so you can't particularly point to specific guys, hey, they're always on the defensive left. Or be a defensive right, depending if you're talking from the offensive perspective or not, right? You're probably saying to the offensive left, our defensive right. Yeah. So again, we probably talk more field boundary, but there are things we did schematically, we called that did not have us in a good position for the particular plays they were running. Like I said, give credit to Coach Self and his staff. They did a tremendous job of coming up with a game plan. And then obviously, like I said, you got to run and you got to tackle. You know, I happen to believe, particularly in the run game, there's a lot of people who believe in gap responsibility, or some people call it gap cancellation. You try to spill everything, keep it running sideways out to the sideline. I'm a more of a believer in you constrict space, right? You stack up bodies into each other and you muddy up seams. And obviously we did not do a good enough job of that at times in the run game. Some of it because of the calls we made, other times because we didn't play hard or physical enough. I mean, that'd be my evaluation of that, man.
Coach, do you have any update on Xavion, if he can be back this week?
Yeah, we anticipate it to, yes, sir. Xavier probably could have won even last week some, but obviously, if something unfortunate happened in the game, then you lose him for 1 or 2 games afterwards, and so we wanted to see if we could, weather the storm without him. But yeah, we expect him to be back.
Well, some coaches in various sports, they feel like their team would get better from week 1 to week 2, or do you kind of buy into that? I know you said it was a long way to go, a short time to get there, but how do you kind of look at that?
Well, I'm not gonna be the coach very long if we don't get better. I mean, if you don't get better from week 1 to week 2, you're not winning a lot of football games. You don't win a lot of football games, we all know what the consequence of that is, and so we better get better, and we better get better from week 2 to week 3, week 3 week 4. If you're not constantly improving, well, your opponent sure is. So, yeah, we better improve. We better improve a lot as a football team if we're gonna get to seeing the fight someone in the locker room right there and have a good time again in the locker room afterwards. That's what's required at this level.
Anything else?
I got one more thing, actually, if you don't mind. Hey, I did, I've seen this around town. I'm sure many of you have as well, but I believe I'm starting to see a lot of these pop up in the front window of a lot of storefronts. 2023 supporter of the Bulldog Initiative. From what I'm told, by the day more and more are being requested and getting put up. But I would encourage everyone, obviously, I'm speaking particularly to our fan base here, as you come into town this weekend, make this a rocking environment, and you're going around town, make sure you see that in the storefront before you decide to go in there, right? Before you support them, make sure they support Mississippi State Athletics. Hey, thank you very much, Hail State.